What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814ADC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Zero Tolerance 0357. This is one of the 4 knives that got loaned into me via Dawn over at DNK Knives. So again, huge shout out to Dawn. Thank you so much, my brother, for sending me some stuff to check out. I greatly appreciate it. Now this, I believe, is going to be a better review than the Clyde got. I have never handled a ZT before, and I was going down through Don's website trying to get some stuff together for him to send me. And I checked out the ZT section because I figured, why not check one out? I've always heard a lot of good things about them. I've just never handled one. For those who don't know, which I'm sure most of you guys, if not all of you guys know, Zero Tolerance is Kershaw's premium brand. They're all, made in the USA knives. And there's been some really cool ones over the years that I've seen and I've been intrigued by. Just never checked one out. So this is one that always kind of caught my eye. I really just like the overall blade shape and the way that the handle flows and just the overall aesthetic of this knife. I've always really enjoyed it. I've always thought it looked really cool. Now it is an assisted knife, which I wasn't sure of that when I told Dawn to send me it, or I put that in there. I kind of had a feeling it was. So I'm not a huge assisted knife fan, but for assisted knives, this is pretty dang good. I really enjoyed having this in, and I really enjoyed, the carry and the little bit of cutting that I've done with it. Just some letters and some random, paper and whatnot. Nothing super heavy because I don't really want to use my knives super duper hard or anything like that. Or my knives, loaner knives, super duper hard or anything like that. So jumping right into it with some materials. You guys can see it has a very heavy stone wash, which looks really good. I really like how they did that. ZT logo, rocking some black G10 scales with a lanyard hole back here. Over here, you have a loop over style deep carry clip that is branded ZT, sort of a shorter deep carry pot clip. I like how they did that. Definitely works very well. Then over here, you have 0357 USA with a serial number and then 20 CV. And then I believe this is an in-house design. I think that's what that is for Kershaw. I believe that is, when that's on a knife, it signifies an in-house design, which is cool. And then 20 CV is a great steel. So all in all, it's a very solid package. A little bit of specs for you guys. Overall length is 7.75 inches with a 3.25, again, 20 CV inch, a 3.25 inch, 20 CV blade with a very, very nice heavy stone wash. Really like how I did that. It weighs 4.3 ounces, and I can definitely attest to that. But it's a good weight. It's kind of like the weight that this knife is going to work for you, and it's going to be able to stand up to some hard use and some hard cutting without really, affecting the knife at all. So I definitely can appreciate that. The pot clip is reversible, which is nice. Lefty or righty carry. Definitely is appreciated for all those lefties out there. And the blade grind is flat. You do have a swedge kind of building up top here with a little bit of a poon, which is nice. It's a very nice area for your thumb. And it comes down to a pretty thin edge. It's definitely no hollow grind or anything like that, but it's very thin, great for cutting. The ergos and the cutting on this are awesome. I definitely can attest to this being a very comfortable knife in hand, but we'll get to that later in that category. Again, it's assisted, so I don't know. I've never taken apart an assisted knife. I don't know if it's on bearings and it's assisted or if it's on washers and it's assisted. This is the second assisted knife that I've handled from Kershaw. I had the link in before, not the link in. I bought the link before in green aluminum 20 CV back. This was before I had a channel, but I did a review on it. So if you guys want to go back and find that, maybe I'll try to link it somewhere here if I can remember how to do that. And for the value, that was a fantastic knife. I think you can buy it right now for like 80 or 90 bucks brand new. I bought it used on the secondary for like 60. And I really liked it. But then my dad, the more I got into knives, I wanted to get my dad a nice knife. So that was the first nice knife that I gave him. And he still uses it around the house. It's kind of like his heavy duty work knife. It can take a bruising. It can take a beating. It's well made. It's assisted, so it's going to fire every time reliably, and it's going to, very similar to this. It's just a good USA-made knife, and I think for the value, that's a fantastic knife as well. So this is the second assisted knife that I've ever had for Kershaw, And I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's on bearings or washers. I believe it's their speed safe assist, which they've been using for a long time. It's patented, I believe. Now you can de-assist these knives. I don't know how to do that. I've never, really looked into it too much on how to do that. But if I were ever to like get one of these, I would definitely look into maybe de-assisting it, because I would, use that flipper tab, and I would, I would think it'd be kind of fidgety the way it's just kind of set up and everything like that. But of course it's a liner lock. You have a little bit of cutout there. It's definitely not, not the most I've ever seen in a knife, but I really don't have to fight too much to get my thumb in there to do anything with it. As for internal milling, there is no milling. Well, there's a little bit of lock bar relief right here on the lock bar, but on the show scale side, there is nothing except for the holes for your screws and the holes for your pot clip. But again, 4.3 ounces. It doesn't really feel like that, or excuse me, it does feel like that, but it doesn't feel like that in a heavy way. It feels like that in a, like, I'm, rough and ready to go and ready to do some cutting for you guys. So yeah, I think that's all for materials. So we're going to move on to action. You guys know, speed safe, any sort of assisted knives, they're gonna fire nice and hard. You do have a flipper tab right there with plenty of jimping. As long as you get your finger cut on there, it's gonna pop right down. Very, very nice, very snappy. And as much as I don't love assisted knives, they definitely are nice, and they give a nice thwack. They fire with authority as long as the springs are nice and the springs are solid, which they are on this. Fires right open. Now, typically, most people with assisted knives probably would use, two hands. They would close it. Well, as I just showed one hand, they would close it and kind of push down with one hand, or with two hands, excuse me. So you definitely can do that, but as long as you get used to the knife, you just kind of push through that spring to get it closed. No, little bit of blade play. There was none when I first got it in, but the more I fidgeted with it and the more I've used it, it's developed a little bit of blade play, but nothing too bad. Just kind of use your pointer finger, comes down. And honestly, it's a little bit addictive sometimes when you get in this motion of just doing this over and over again, which I like that. And you can do it lefty. So there's no middle finger flick, there's no nothing like that. With the flipper tab, you only have one method of opening, but that's okay. I think with assisted opening knives, I would rather have a flipper tab than thumb studs or a hole or anything like that. I don't know, just feels better with a flipper. So action for what it is for an assisted opening knife, it's very good, very snappy, nice and strong, and everything you can hope for in assisted opening knife. So no complaints at all there. Next up is ergos. Now this G10, you can tell this is a little bit older of a design. The materials are a little bit, this knife is a little bit dated, I will say, but the G10 is nicely done, has a very nice texture to it. You guys can hear that or not. It definitely isn't as coarse as sandpaper, but it's definitely not smooth either. So it provides a very, very good grip in your hand. The pot clip, for being a loop rubber style clip, it does protrude a little bit, but the way your hand, or at least my hands fall, the bulk of it is kind of like towards the back of your hand. So it's not really too much of a hot spot, but I get all four fingers on here very easily with a little bit of the handle scale sticking out of there. And my thumb falls right in here in this poon area, and it provides for a very, very nice ergonomic experience. I'm locked in for some cutting if I'm gonna be doing some push cuts through some cardboard. It's very, very comfortable. No complaints at all there. It is a little bit thick. Assisted opening knives tend to be a little bit thick, but nothing that's too out of the ordinary, and it definitely doesn't take away from the ergo experience. Like I said, it's just very comfortable. Your hand just fits in here naturally. You have a nice restriction point right here, and then it kind of skinnies right here in the middle, then it tapers and gets chunky, and then it swells off towards the end, towards the booty. But very comfortable in hand. You might be able to use the sharpening choil as kind of a flipper choil. I probably wouldn't recommend it. You know, my hand's a little bit big, but if you had smaller hands, you might be able to get your middle or your pointer finger in there a little bit easier. I really like the pinch grip on here because I use my middle finger and my thumb. And then my pointer finger can fall right here in the poon, or it can fall out here too if you're gonna be doing some slicing through labels or anything like that. All in all, like a really good ergo experience. You know, I have no complaints at all. The weight doesn't affect the way the knife feels in your hand. Because again, it's a good weight. It's a heavy use weight. G10's nice. It has nice rounded edges. You know, no sharp protruding things that are going to dig into your hand. The backspacer on there is very nice as well. Great cutting, you know, experience with that 20 CV. Came with a very, very nice edge and just a very usable blade shape. You know, it does kind of sweep up towards the top a little bit, which I did talk about in the Clyde review, is something I don't love because you kind of lose cutting ability. But for this knife, it kind of makes up for that with, you know, having such a good ergo experience. And you have plenty of belly down here to do most of your cutting that you're going to be, you know, by the time you're almost out of your cut is by the time you're going to be kind of up in this area. At least the way I've, you know, sort of used it and experienced it. So yeah, I guess that's all for ergos. So next up is going to be carry. This knife carries well. You know, the deep carry pot clip, you pretty much have that sticking up out of your pocket. So it sits nice and deep. You know, I've carried this, I think once in a pair of work jeans when I was out mowing grass and once in shorts, I think. And it's a little bit heavy for shorts. I probably wouldn't carry it consistently as an EDC, you know, in my EDC rotation in the summertime, just because it's a little bit hefty. But it carries well. You know, when I'm carrying it in jeans, drops right down. It pretty much disappears in your pocket. You do have a flipper tab down here with jimping. So if you're going down to get change, medicine, chapstick, anything like that, to where you're going to be going down, grabbing it, and then pulling your hand up out beside the knife, you might have a little bit of a risk of maybe kind of popping the knife off. But it's very, very, you know, aggressive jimping. And it's, you know, it's aggressive, but it's not going to catch your hand really that much. But just something I wanted to point out to you guys. You guys know I like to always talk about pulling your hand up and popping the knife up out. But, you know, everything else back here is nicely contoured and rounded off. No sharp edges or anything like that. So no complaints there. You can carry it lefty. For all you lefty fanatics out there, you left-handed people, don't worry. This is lefty friendly, so that's good. And there really was no reason for this not to be. Just like the Iona, the Clyde. There was no reason for this not to be tapped with a lefty clip. That was kind of dumb in my opinion. So I was glad to see them mill a couple holes on there for lefties to be able to carry this knife left-handed. But yeah, you know, carries carry. So really nothing too exciting to talk about. I had no complaints with it there. So I want to talk about finally price point and what I recommend this knife. Price point on DNK Knives is $188. It's currently 20% off, so it was $235. I think 188's a good price, but I do want to go back and talk about that link that I was talking about earlier. The Kershaw link, here, I'll look it up right now. And that's not to say that this isn't a good knife, because I really do like this knife. I think it would be a fantastic, like to me, this just screams work knife. You know, it screams hard use, heavy duty, go out, take a beating, you know, and still keep on kicking type of knife to me. But I think at that price point, yeah, so on Knife Center, you can get the Kershaw link with a 3.25 inch 20 CV handle, or scale or blade, which is the same length as this, and all of aluminum scales for $99. So for $100, you can get a 20 CV. Oh, they also have a black scale now, which I didn't know. But for $100, you can get an assisted opening knife with the same blade shape almost and same blade length as this for $88 cheaper. And some would argue aluminum would be better than G10. So that's kind of what I wanted to, you know, talk about with you guys. What's the price difference there? Is it because, you know, obviously ZT, you know, is a better brand, a more premium brand. So that's going to drive the price up a little bit more. But I can't justify how this is $88 and that's even on sale. We'll say another $100 more than the Link when it has the same steel and aluminum scales, which I think, you know, it depends on the knife, but I think aluminum scales in some cases are better than G10. You know, and if I never think it's worse. So if it's equal, if not better than G10. So like, you know, where's that price difference going? You know, it can't just be in the ZT name, or can it be? I don't have an answer for you guys on that one. Leave a comment down below. Like, what are your thoughts on that? You know, the price difference between two very, very similar knives, in my humble opinion, and what the price difference is on them. But, you know, I can recommend this knife. I think it's a fantastic knife. And again, I'm going to be, you know, I think this is great for construction workers, for guys that are out, you know, beating up their knives, and they want something to be reliable. They want something to open when they need it to open. You know, that's where I think the Speed Safe Assist and assisted knives kind of shine. You know, I take that assisted knives that aren't pieces of shit, that aren't like the Shadow Ranger and stuff like that, that aren't, you know, made with like you know, really like stainless steel and stuff like that. It's going to lose an edge after an hour of use. Like, I would not hesitate to take this on the roof with me to do some cutting with. I would not hesitate to take this out in the woods to do some cutting with. It's just, you know, it screams hard use. It screams tough. And I can recommend it for that. But I just kind of pause at the price point. I think the materials are okay with that. You know, 20 CV, made in the USA, you know, G10. Like, I don't think that's a bad price point, but I think when you have that Link sitting there at $100, I think that kind of makes you pause. I think that kind of makes you wonder. And, you know, I think that would give you something to consider if you were really interested in this knife. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Like I said, it's not a bad, it's a great knife. I like the knife. I like a lot of the materials about it. I like a lot about the knife, but the price point just confuses me a little bit. Do I think it's worth those, you know, do I think the materials and the build quality and the, you know, everything about the knife is worth $188? Absolutely. But again, when you have that Link sitting there at $100 for, you know, the same blade steel and a very comparable handle material for, you know, $85 to $100 less, it's kind of one of those things you just have to wonder. But I'm going to quit rambling, guys, and you know, go on off the tracks here. But hopefully you guys were able to pick up on what I was trying to say on that last couple minutes. But this was my full review on the Zero Tolerance 0357. Again, a huge shout out to Dawn over at DNK Knives for loaning this, as well as three other knives for me to check out. Dawn, thank you so much, brother. It is greatly appreciated. This was a cool knife. I really did appreciate and enjoy having it and getting to check out my first ZT. I think it's one of the better looking models I've seen from them. You know, even if it might be a little bit dated, I still think it's a fantastic model. And I wouldn't hesitate to buy the knife. It's just the price point and, you know, the discrepancy between the two models that are very, very similar. You know, unless it's Kershaw to ZT, if that's the only thing that's driving that price up, I do not think it's worth $100 upcharge for just branding it ZT. But that's just me. So links will be in the description down below. Dawn still has one of these in stock, so to go check it out if you guys are interested. And as always, Blue Creek Knives and Barnescraft Designs will be linked down below. Please use code 814EDC for 10% off your purchase at Blue Creek Knives and 15% off of your purchase at Barnescraft Designs. Helps you, helps me, helps Brian, and helps Holden. It is a win-win-win. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, morning, evening, whenever you're watching this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.